Happy coding.
Hey there, Kevin here, and welcome to our next video in our series of Intro to Web Development. So far you have learned about HTML, you've learned about CSS, and last week you started learning about JavaScript. And this week we are going to sort of build on all of that and continue to learn more about JavaScript and let you create interactive web pages using all of the above. So this week is two videos, well, three if you count the project intro. And this first video is about variables and input and all that good stuff. And then the next video will be about actually making your web page interactive. So as always, I'm just going to kind of dive right in. I never lecture with a ton of slides or anything. I figure the best way to talk about writing code is to write code. So here we go. So I'm here in my NeoCities project or dashboard here, and I'm in my Scratch directory. And this is just a directory I have just kind of for this kind of thing where I can put whatever I want in here and it doesn't really, hurt anything. It's kind of temporary and all good. So I've got some files left over from the last few videos. I've got a couple B pictures for some reason, and I have an index file, a script file, and a style file. So I am going to organize my windows just like I always do. And so what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to edit all three of my files at first. And then I'm going to make this window sort of take up half of the space. And then I am going to, that's kind of annoying that I have so many tabs open and maybe there's a better way to do this, but good enough. So I've got my sort of dashboard here. Maybe I can close this actually. And I've got my NeoCities editor open to my index.html file, an editor open to script.js, and an editor open to style.css. That's just sort of how I would code if I was using NeoCities. And the next thing I'll do is I'll hit this view button, open that up in its own tab, and I'll sort of make this fill up the right side. So sure, that seems okay. And what my file contains so far is I have a index.html file here, and it points to a style.css file. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit more. Style.css and a script.js file. In the HTML itself, it's got an h1, a p tag, and a button that calls a say hello function. In my CSS, or actually that's my JavaScript, I have a single say hello function, and it logs something to the console and shows an alert box. And then finally, the CSS gives my container this style where it has a border and some other stuff set up. So the end result is what you see here on the right. And so if I click hello, I do indeed see hello world. It's over there. You see it. And it's a alert pop-up box and it says hello world. And that's because that's what's in my JavaScript right here. So that's what we sort of had last week, and we took it a little further than that, but hopefully all of that is mostly like review where you have a mix of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So that's where I'm going to start. So if you want to get in the same place, give yourself like an HTML file and at least a JavaScript file where you can have like that set up and linked together. So when you click a button, it does something. Okay, so that's where we are so far. And that's sort of mostly review. And so to go like maybe a step further, what I want to talk about is what's going on here. So I have a hello world that goes to the console, and I have a hello world that goes to the dialog. So hello world, maybe I'll just make this a little nicer, and hello world doesn't really matter, but I'm annoying. So hello, and I see hello world. And what these are, like these things in quotation marks, these are we talked about this a little bit last week. These are called strings, and more specifically, they are string values. And I want to get rid of the console.log for now just to focus on alert. And maybe I'll actually overwrite this with document.write, actually. Document.write. just make it super duper obvious what's happening. Let's see if this works. Maybe this won't work. Well, we're going to find out. Refresh and hello. I actually think I like the alert better. I'm going to change it back. Sorry. I'm just trying to make it as visible as possible. And I guess that's visible enough. So you can see hello world here. And so this is a string value, a string being a series of text characters or letters in these quotation marks. But there are other values or other types of value. So the other one that we've looked at so far is a number. So I could have like a 42 here. And I'll save this and refresh. And if I hit hello, I will see 42 in the alert, in the pop-up box, because that's the value that I am passing in as the argument or parameter into the alert function. And so those are values. And a value is, well, it's a value. It's a thing like a number or a string. It's just a thing that contains one like unit of data. But there are other things you can do with values. You don't just have to pass them directly into a function. So for example, a computer is basically just a fancy calculator at the end of the day. We are now able to do like really fancy things with our fancy calculators, but at the end of the day, they're just number crunchers. So you can do, math inside of your code. So let's say I wanted to say 42 plus, I don't know, 23. I'm making these numbers up. So I'm just typing the value 42, the symbol plus, and the value 23. And if I save this and refresh and hit hello, well, you can maybe take a second to guess what will happen. What will show in the alert box? And I think a fair guess would be it will show literally 42 plus 23. But if I try it out, it shows 65 because that's what 42 plus 23 is. So it's doing the math before it passes that into the function. So this plus symbol is called an operator. So this is the addition operator. You can do other operators. So I can do subtraction here and I can refresh and hit hello. And now I see 19 because 42 minus 23 is 19. And I can do things like, I don't know, multiplication and refresh and click and okay, I get 966. I'm choosing these numbers kind of arbitrarily. They don't mean anything, but there we go. And I can do division as well. So if I hit refresh and hello, now I get this kind of ugly looking number, 1.826, blah, 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 blah. So I can use operators on my values and you can string them together. I shouldn't say string like that, but I could say like 42 divided by 23 plus 100, for example. And basically exactly like a calculator, I can do that. And oh, I didn't actually refresh, and hello. And now I get this big ugly number because it's whatever it was before plus 100. So it's 101.82, blah, blah, blah. So that's operators with numbers. And before we saw that there's another type of value called a string value. And I can say alert here, and maybe I'll say like hello world. So this is a string value. Maybe I can zoom out just a little bit. And so if I go back to that, if I refresh and hit hello, I see hello world. But I can also use operators on strings. Specifically, I can use the plus, well, it's not called the plus operator, but I'll talk about that in a second. So let's say I wanted instead hello plus, I don't know, let's say, I'll just say my name, maybe Kevin and exclamation point. So now what I'm doing is I have a value over here. The value of that, the value is a string with this content. It's hello, and then there's a space here. It's kind of hard to see, but between the O and the ending quotation mark, it's, the whole thing hello and a string, or in a space. Then there's the plus sign. And then there's the name Kevin with an exclamation point. And what will this do? You can maybe try to guess. You can think about what it will do. But the nice thing about code is you can just try it out and see what happens. So if I refresh and hit hello, I see hello space Kevin. And this is working because in JavaScript, if you have two string values, you can basically add them together. And this is called concatenation. So maybe I'll spell that because it's a weird word, concatenation. And this is the either concatenation operator, or it's also called the append operator as well. And what that does is it kind of just smushes the two strings together. It says whatever's over here, smush it together with this, and it creates one sort of ending string value and passes that into the alert function. So I don't know, just to give you another example, let's say it was like hello just by itself with no space and then Kevin. What would this do? I'm going to hit save and refresh and then click the button. And I see hello Kevin with no space in between. This is a common sort of thing to accidentally stumble upon. And this is because I need a space. So I can either put a space here or I can put a space here because it's just smush them together. So that is sort of values and operators on those values that you can combine in different ways to create new values and then pass them into functions. So the next thing I want to cover is the idea of creating a variable. So I'm going to give myself some white space and I'm going to get rid of this for now. And I'm going to maybe zoom in because this is new syntax. And so what I want to do is create a variable that then points to a value. So to create a variable, there's a few ways to do it, but the way we are going to do it is using the let keyword. So let, and then a space. And then I give my variable a name. The name can be anything you want. It can't really contain spaces though. So it's just one like series of letters. Generally, it's not like math where you just have a variable called like X. Usually it's, you know, words basically. So let's say I have a variable and I want to say like greeting and then a space and then an equal sign and then whatever value you want. And so for example, I don't know, I could use a number here. So I'm going to go back to like, you know, say like 45 and then a semicolon. So I've let greeting equals 45. So greeting is a variable that points to or contains the value 45. So I can use this variable wherever I could use a value. So I can pass it into a function like I can any other value. So I'm going to alert with greeting. So I'm passing in the greeting variable to the alert function. And if I hit refresh here and I hit the button, I see 45. I don't see the word greeting here. I don't see anything else. I see 45 because that's what greeting is. Greeting is 45. So, you know, 45 is not actually a greeting. So maybe I'll say like hello. And maybe I'll leave it there. So now greeting is a variable that points to the string value hello. And then I pass greeting into the alert function. So I'm going to refresh. And I'm going to hit hello. And there it is. Hello. There's too many hellos on one screen, but that's fine. Because what this is showing is I am, again, creating a greeting variable, pointing it to the hello value, and then passing the variable into the function. So one of the nice things about this is you can reuse the same value in multiple places without having to rewrite it a bunch of times. And so, I don't know, for example, let's say I didn't have this, and let's say I wanted to say alert and console.log of something. So I'm going to say alert with hello, and then console.log with that same value hello. And, you know, this is fairly common that you want to do multiple things with the same thing and or take multiple actions with the same value. And so I'm going to hit save. I'm going to open up my console. It's down there somewhere. Here, my face is going to cover it. That's fine. I'm not going to move myself around. It's over there. You see it. Um, but now if I refresh and I push my hello button, I see hello here. And when I hit OK, I see hello down here. And now let's say I wanted to change this to, I don't know, welcome. I would have to change it in two places, which in this case isn't super duper annoying, but imagine I had, much longer code. I'd have to go find everywhere that I had the string hello and change it to welcome, and it just gets pretty annoying. So if I refresh here, like that should work. Now I see welcome here and I see welcome down there. Cool. But it gets easier if I have a variable, because now I can say let, what did I call that? Greeting equals welcome. And then I can use that anywhere that I was going to use that value. So I'll save that, refresh, refresh. And I'll click my button. Now I see welcome. Okay, I see welcome here. And now let's say I wanted to change this to, I'm running out of greetings, like, yo, what is up? I only have to change it in this single place. I don't have to go hunt down everywhere that I use that greeting variable. I can just sort of trust, hey, I changed it up here, so it's available whenever I use it. So if I hit refresh and click the button, yo, what is up? And yo, what is up? So that's one of the values, or I shouldn't say values, that's one of the benefits of variables, is that you can use them in multiple places. Another thing you can do is use operators on your variables, exactly how you could use operators on your values. So I'll change this back to hello. And maybe I want like a name. So let name equals, in my case, my name is Kevin. And then maybe what I will do is I'll say in here, kind of debating. Actually, what I'll actually do is I'll create a new variable and I'll say let message equals, and I will set this equal to the value, which is the variable greeting, plus the value, which is the variable name. And so now I'm creating a new variable, pointing it to whatever this is, which I have to like go up and look at to understand. So greeting is hello, name is Kevin. And so message will be hello, Kevin. And now I'm going to take message and pass it into alert and pass it into console.log. And I'm going to save that. And I will say there's a hint here. So I just kind of messed something up, and I didn't really do it on purpose, but I'm predicting what will happen. So right now I will maybe challenge you. Looking at this code, is there a problem with it? And you can pause the video if you want to kind of see, like, can you guess what the problem will be? But let me refresh and hit the button. And what I see is hello, Kevin, with no space, because my greeting is hello. My name is Kevin. I'm smushing them together, but I did not add a space. So there's a few ways to get around that. I could just add a space here, but I think maybe a more correct thing to do would be to use my operators. So I'm going to say greeting, and then I want a space, and then I want the name, and then let's say I'm feeling fancy, so I actually want to add an exclamation point at the end. And I'll have a semicolon. And so now my message is greeting, which is hello, a space, the name, which is Kevin, and then a exclamation point. So if I save that and refresh and push my button, I see hello, Kevin, exclamation point. I hit OK. I see hello, Kevin, exclamation point. And the way this code works is I can now change either of these values and the rest will still kind of work. So if I change this to, I don't know, just change it back to welcome, hit save, refresh, click the button, I see welcome space Kevin exclamation point, because the rest stays the same. And so that is sort of the foundational like value of variables. You no longer have to like strictly hard code everything. You can sort of have this, well, variable content. And the other like really beneficial usage of variables, especially in web development, is for cases where you don't know the value ahead of time. And so, for example, this website is saying hello to me, to Kevin, and I can hard code the name to be something else, like hello Oscar the Grouch or whatever. But that won't really work because it won't be the person who is viewing the page. And so, what if I wanted to ask the user, what is your name? And there's a few ways to do that, and we will get into some fancier ways in the next video. But for now, I am going to use a JavaScript function called prompt. So I'm going to do that by calling it by its name. So prompt, and then a opening parenthesis. And then in here, I'm going to ask a question. So in this case, I'll say, what is your name? And I will end my string. I'll close my parenthesis, and I'll end with a semicolon. And so now my name variable points to whatever this is, which is the value that a user types in to a pop-up box that has a little input element in it. So if I save that and refresh and click the button, now the first thing that happens is I get this pop-up and it says, what is your name? And in here, I can type, I don't know, maybe I'll be more interesting and I'll say Oscar the Grouch, and I'll click OK. And now I see, welcome, Oscar the Grouch. And it's because, and I see that if I click OK, I can see it down here too. And that's because I don't know ahead of time what is the user's name. I am asking the user for their name, and I'm storing the value that they enter in the name variable, and then I'm using that variable exactly like I can with any other value. And in my case, I'm using that value to create a third variable by concatenating it with some other values. So greeting plus the value, which is just a space, plus name, plus the value, which is just an exclamation point. So that is creating variables in a nutshell. You use the let keyword, you give it a name, you set it equal to some value. That value can come from things like calling functions. And then you can do whatever the heck you want with them. Mostly, using operators and calling functions on them. And this really opens up like the functionality of your website to start being not just one hard-coded thing, but to be more dynamic. And in the next video, we will talk more about like actually making the page itself dynamic. So right now, the only thing I really do with this is I show a couple of pop-up boxes, but there's other stuff you can do. But for now, this at least introduces the concept of using variables, creating variables, and then passing them around. So the last thing I'll say in the last couple minutes here is I don't want to call it oversimplifying because I think it's the correct amount of simplifying, but I am saying that for us, this is how we will create a variable. We will use the let keyword and then give it a name and then set it equal to a value. But because I've said in this class that you are like more than encouraged to look other tutorials up, look up, guides and whatnot on the internet, you will likely encounter other ways to create variables. And so I will sort of just show them really quickly. So another really common way to create a variable is with a different keyword. So this is the var or var keyword. And it works the exact same way where I say var and then I give it a name. I didn't prepare this ahead of time. So like I've already used greeting, name, and message. So I'll just say new message. Maybe it's kind of a bad name, but whatever, equals. And then I can do the same thing. Anything I can do above, I can do the same thing. So like I'll say hello again, and maybe I will just, maybe I'll just console.log that. Actually, let me move this down because I want it to be kind of separate. So I've got my first stuff up there, and here's my var or var. Var new message equals hello again. And now I can do like console.log new message. I could do, anything you can do with let anything that we are going to do with let, we can do with var. There are some subtle differences that only matter when you get into like more complicated stuff. But this will work. It's kind of the older way of creating variables. And so I would say for new code, you're generally not going to be using var, but it will work and you will likely encounter it on sort of old tutorials and older content. So just be aware that that's a thing. And okay, this is the stuff that I already have, but now here I have my message hello again, and it works, just the same. The other way you might see a variable created is with just a different keyword. So const. Const is another keyword that lets you create a variable, and it is very, very similar to let and var. The only difference really is that once you have a const variable, you can't change its value, which we haven't really seen at all yet. But it's not a big deal. But you will often see const in code. It is kind of a newer way. Let and const are both kind of the newer ways to do it. Var is the older way, but for us, the difference between let and const is not really important, but it works the same. I see hello again down here because of const. The other way that you might see it is by not using a keyword at all and just saying my variable name equals whatever. And this technically works, but it has like weird side effects that will impact us later, and it doesn't really matter. Like I don't think you need to care too much about that level of detail. But just know that you will probably see all of the above, like in tutorials and stuff that you see on the internet. And they will, sort of kind of work, but will have weird side effects. And so for now, I will just say stick with let. Let is the way to do it in this class. And once you get more familiar with the idea of variables and using them and stuff, you can get into the nitty gritty specifics. But for now, don't use var, don't use const, don't use no keyword. That was bad English, but use the let keyword for us. Okay, so I think I'll sort of end it there. For now, what we've learned is how to create a variable, how to use a variable, and sort of the benefits of that approach. And in the next video, I'm going to really bring all of it together and use all of the above to create interactive web pages. So I'll see you over there, and until then, happy coding.